That divorce led me to homelessness. Being at my civic center with my suitcases and my child is something I've had to experience in this present time. I stayed in an 8-year marriage that almost killed me because I felt that it was impossible to ever leave it. You know, social media has become so loud. All of a sudden, everybody knows it all. Everybody's feeding us with information because of their personal experiences, trial and tested, or if anything, everyone's just copying each other and sharing it as their own. Which, okay, I definitely would say I'm part of the bunch of people who come online and share with you the what to and what to do, okay? But one of the things that is fed to us the most is the almost perfect life that can be your reality. It absolutely can. But the reality is how to achieve it. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Waking up at 5 a.m., going for your morning workout, Pilates, meal prep, journaling, ice lattes, and, you know, earning 6 figures as a woman, being a girl boss, running your companies, getting the latest car, going on holiday or traveling here and there tomorrow. It's all so much. And honestly, the consumption of all of this can only make a lot of people feel that they might be failing. Because the reality is, to achieve all of those things and be consistent with it, it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of a mindset shift in order for you to be able to accomplish those things. Now, those things are not negative. A lot of those things I mentioned, I absolutely apply it to my life. But for the everyday woman, what is the difference between hustling and surviving? Because what we don't realize is a lot of people who are sharing that content, it is a form of hustling. Because if you're a content creator, for example, that may be your bread and butter. And so you're showing us your hustle to get to your bag and your goal, which isn't a bad thing. But a lot of people who are on the other side of this watching are actually trying to survive. And survival mode is required for a short or a certain period of time. And within those periods of time, you're learning lessons, you are building, you are gathering strength, you're healing. All sorts of things will be happening in survival mode. But let me tell you something which is absolutely scary and dangerous. When survival mode becomes a cycle and you just keep on staying in that cycle and you can never break out or get out of that cycle. So you feel like a failure. So let's just talk about the main body of what I want to speak about today. Social media, it does celebrate hustle, okay? And again, it's not a bad thing to hustle. You see a lot of rappers talk about their hustle life, but now look at them, you know? Jay-Z's living it a lot. It was the hard not life for him at some point, okay? That was him and his hustle. But now look at him, he's a multi-billionaire and it's achievable. And for the woman, of course, the hustle includes being a CEO, being an entrepreneur, or being an influencer, buying her dream home. And all of these things are beautiful. I have come on the internet and showed bits of that as well. You know, when I married, when I bought my house, having a child, all of these things, I bought it online as well. And people clap for me, or maybe they didn't. It doesn't matter. But I'm actually in the phase right now of sharing my story, my actual authentic story of how it really went down. This particular video, however, is kind of adding to that, but making you understand that a lot of what I was doing to share online was me being in survival mode. I have been in survival mode for much longer. And obviously it was a hustle. I guess it was a cross between the two, hustle and survival. I'm never really firmly landing on my feet where I can be at peace and rest. And honestly, true queens acknowledge the fact that there is going to be a point where you can rest. And a lot of us almost forget that that is possible. And we blur it out completely because we are daily caught up in the survival cycle. All of these women that you see online flaunting and living their best life, their best soft life, no one is really speaking about the foundation of it all when they were in the survival space. And what does it really look like? What does survival really look like? Because I tell you what, and from the conversations I have and from the things I see online, a lot of people don't realize that that's where they're actually stuck. I had been stuck for a while, and this is why you could never see me land. I was doing this, I was doing that, I was doing that. There was a lack of consistency from me. All I knew is there was shift and change coming, and with that shift and change, I had identified that my survival mode, if anything, was me just living anxiously, day to day, living with anxiety. I stayed in an 8-year marriage that almost killed me because I felt that it was impossible to ever leave it, especially where it connects to the religious context of it, and knowing that if I left this, there's doom and gloom at the other side. Survival mode is working a job that you actually are not too keen on, like you don't want to step here, but it actually is paying the bills, so why not? Some people are out there living from paycheck to paycheck. If we're talking even about me and what it felt like the dream career from the outside, right? Not to downplay the success I had, because I definitely did that, okay? And I achieved quite a lot within the time. But I knew that was not my ending point. I know there's bigger to achieve. And this is why recently I'm doing videos and I'm not caring. I called out a brand or two the other day, and people say, oh, never burn a bridge. The bridge is burnt. And I'm so happy to burn that bridge because I'm far past on the other side of that, where I truly believe in myself that I'm going to live as opposed to survive. When I think about the times where I was in this heightened area of success doing me, and really growing, I was surviving, trying to keep it all up, because at the end of the day, this is a machine I'm running and it has to be funded, right? And so there's all of that, and then there's raising children, and then there's also healing from abuse. The survival mode is something that, if anything, I feel that it comes in pieces. Survival mode can be absolutely nasty, but then it could be very, very necessary as well. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to die and completely go. And in some cases, and in reality, that's the only place you can be for that time period. I would say for the past year, being in survival mode was truly the only way I could have survived. Honestly, survival can look like it is successful from the outside, and you'd be so surprised. A lot of content creators, this is what we're doing. We're showing you that we're okay. And I guess it's a positive thing, because it shows you guys that, there is hope, right? But what if I told you that behind the scenes, a lot of people are kind of suffering in silence, just trying to make the best out of it before that survival can come in various forms. There was survival during my marriage. There was survival post that as well, in the very early stages of that. And there was an even huger need for me to survive when I ended up with nowhere to live. It got to that. It got to me being homeless. And so what do we do on social media pretty often? We compare ourselves to others. I think a lot of us are guilty of that. And honestly, you are very much far in your healing where you show up and you just don't care. And I would definitely say I'm at that phase now where I've stopped comparing myself to others and what they're doing. And I know I've come a long way, because I'm very bold in saying, you know what, I was homeless. That divorce led me to homelessness. Literally. Being at my civic center with my suitcases and my child is something I've had to experience in this present time. If I wanted to lie to you and say, actually, no, I'm living my best life, I guess I could do that as well, because that will be me kind of in the bracket of all of my peers who are successful, or at least appear to be successful online. Honestly, my advice to you is to do yourself a favor. You can take inspiration from everybody. I do it. I absolutely are looking at Instagram accounts or whatever the case and seeing beautiful women hit it up at the gym every day, have the perfect body, traveling often, making 6 figures, 7 figures, all that. That is very inspiring to me. But my situation and my lifestyle and my path is completely different to sister girl over there, who I don't even know if she is being abused at home while she's showing the flashy parts of her life. So stop comparing yourself to others, because I guarantee you have no idea what's really happening behind the scenes. You need to understand some people's story is not your own. You don't know their story. It could be for better or even for worse. And just picture it is for better, okay? Let's say that the woman that inspires you has got family support and great friends around her, or she has inherited the wealth that she's flaunting online. And perhaps she has the childcare support so she can get on with her bits. And also she may actually be living in peace. And your situation may not look like that. Everyone started from somewhere or something. But that doesn't mean that you have failed. It doesn't mean that you're not capable of achieving what's meant for you. So how do you leave survival mode? Because it's required at certain points, yes, but it's somewhere that you don't want to stay. Let me tell you what I believe has happened to me. I mean, I am definitely still in survival mode. I won't even deny that. But there are phases to this. There's a point where you start to operate in your power. And what happens is you become so creative. That's the first step of coming out of survival mode, creativity. And when you get into the point of being able to focus on creating, and all of a sudden, you know, this is what you want and this is how you're going to get to it, you do all things possible to get into that goal. And in my opinion, the best way to get there is to be creative. Like, okay, I want a new corporate job in Coots Bank. How do I get there? Let me tell you what creativity is, okay? It's picturing yourself as a Pinterest board or a clean slate and putting the pieces of who that person that is going to be sitting in Coots Bank is. That is your creative juices flowing. A lot of us, and I was watching Iyanla Vanzant recently. I was listening to one of her very recent podcasts actually. And she said that some people have had the same wallpaper. Okay, some people have the same 1970s wallpaper in their house. That same chair has been like that forever. Your desktop has had piles and piles of envelopes and letters and documents. When are you going to clear this so that you can clearly see yourself? Because decluttering is a great way as well to get into creative mode. You see me right now. I've set up my camera and my lights and stuff. I cannot start a video until I've hoovered this floor. Okay? It's vacuumed. My desk is clear. My bed is made because I film in my room now. You know, everything has to be clean, clear and decluttered before I'm able to literally focus and do a YouTube video. And so I try to be on top of it daily or as much as possible. And a lot of people are stunted from getting creative and thinking of something new because they are truly living in an uncomfortable and a very repetitive cycle of this is what it is and I'm not going to change that. Let me tell you something. Yes, there can be excuses and reasons to be excused, whereas it may be pertaining to health, mental health, etc. But once you're able to gather yourself and know what you want, there really is no excuse. I think there's now an opportunity or a time where you can say, wait, even with the little that I have, I'm going to make the best out of it. I don't live in the 5-bedroom mansion that I used to live in anymore. I live in a 2-bedroom flat, and the rooms are reasonably sized. But this right now is my palace. The way I've decorated it. Look at this. Look at what's going on behind me. I have a nice sofa. I got a TV there. I have created a haven from this very tiny space to start my life from scratch. Do you know how much effort that takes? Do you know how long it took for me to start to rebuild this? Because I couldn't even buy a dressing table overnight. Other things became my priorities, such as food and ensuring that we are clothed and we are well kept. But every little step forward, I started to rebuild. I lost absolutely everything. And when I mean everything, again, there's so much more story times for me to share, because all that fancy furniture that you saw in my old house is gone. Some of it I managed to ship to Ghana, and a lot of it remained here in the UK. But a lot of it I couldn't bring it to where I am here. Some of it was sold, but the majority of it I had to give away. And you have no idea of how that has really, really hurt me when I think about my £1,000 dining table that I don't have anymore, that I couldn't sell. So I've so gone past healing that. For me to even boldly share that on the internet, knowing my critics will laugh at me and tease me and mock me, for me to actually boldly share that should show you that I've come a long way in my healing, and I can boldly stand and say, do you know what? I don't even have a dining table right now. I have a folded one, and when we need to eat, I'll bring that out and we eat it. I have my dressing table. If I want to eat on there, I'll eat there, or I'll sit on the sofa. There's no space for that here. But this is the space where I am going to create the magic that is going to move me on to the next phase of my life. My advice to you is accept this season. Accept it for what it is, even if it's something that you don't want to stay on. Focus on stabilizing before the success, because the success is here. Don't ever get it twisted, but there are phases towards that success. What you should be focusing on is your finances, your housing, of course, your health, and your peace. I'm so peaceful now. Everything is manageable. I don't have a car, but my son's school is a walking distance, which now I've added that into my well-being because I have to walk every day. And then my son's school is also close to my gym. So when I drop him, I go and exercise. And these things are in my daily routine. So this life that we're looking at, the soft life of the wake up at 5 a.m. and read a book and say your mantras and do your meal preps. Let me tell you something, it's all achievable. You are looking at it right now and saying it's not possible. Perhaps it's going to come in pieces and you have to kind of work towards getting that. But honestly, it's possible. It's possible if you're able to fix something around it so that it works for you and your situation. Please understand that these small wins are major victories, and it's one more step towards your goal. The second way to manage survival mode is stop looking at the aesthetics. Healing is not cute. It's not pretty. Even if I come out here with a face beat and my hair laid and a little cute dress, it's still not a cute thing because it's not where you want to be realistically. But at the same time, that is not the priority here. The things I mentioned before is. But all the same, I do want women to also focus on try to be beautiful, because your maintenance and your standards, it might have to lower a notch if you're somebody who has to manage the cost or the expense of it, for example, even not just monetarily, but just the time to doll up and glam up. But more so, you have to manage that expectation as well, because you know, you don't want to come out looking a hot mess. You do want to show up looking correct, like you're bathed and your hair is combed and you're glowing to a degree because you've put in the extra effort. You have to build one habit at a time, because part of the survival mode, or at least the beginning parts that you don't want to be in it, your habits become something that works against you. But you need to develop newer habits as well. One walk at a time before you hit the gym and go ham every day. Your savings goal, your prayer, your meditation and your faith building, that goal, your healthy goal. Like, these habits then start to change and it really adapts to your current situation, so it's manageable. And also, one thing you have to do is you have to believe that the season that you are in is not permanent. It's not permanent. Like, I actually am very impressed if I look back from a year to now, even just 1 year. Where I was last year was very, very, very concerning. The contrast between then and now, it's definitely one to note. And I'm so grateful to have pushed past. So if you are watching me right now and you feel like you are struggling, just know that you are not weak. You're not lazy. You just need to figure out and work on, or be determined enough to make pivots and accept the season that it is, but more or less make pivots with patience, with time, with learning, with a mindset shift to get into the goals that you are trying to get to. Survival takes strength that not everybody is able to master. So you just got to give yourself a little bit more credit, babe. If you're able to master this season, there's nothing else that can really come against you and take you out. One day you are going to stop fighting to stay alive. Imagine all this free air that is given for us to breathe, and yet we still feel that we're failing, and yet we still feel that we are not alive. And I completely can sympathize and understand what that feels like, because I've been there. I've absolutely been there. In some ways as well, you perhaps may think I would say that I am kind of still there. But it's got a bit of a different outlook now, because I'm now being bold and creative and know myself. And so it's only a matter of time until that manifests into my physical as I work towards that. I hope this video was useful for you and helpful. And I'm looking forward to sharing more gems and sharing my story as I go along. So please do subscribe here on Chanel's House. You will see me in my next video.